Calvotsar. What's up, beautiful people? My name is Calvotsar, and you are watching this video because you are wondering, what is Outriders? What is this game? Well, hopefully today I'm going to go over everything that you need to know. So first things first, Outriders is an upcoming story-driven RPG looter shooter developed by People Can Fly and produced by Square Enix. Outriders takes place on a planet called Enoch, where humanity's efforts to colonize the alien planet went astray as the expedition team encountered a massive energy storm known as the Anomaly. You are a human who has been altered by this anomaly and gained anomaly skills and powers. The campaign will take you from hub zone to hub zone with dense combat areas in between. Outriders is an always online game, but this does not mean it is a live service. In fact, quite the opposite. There are no live service elements about this game. There are no microtransactions in this game. There are no DLC or expansions planned for this game at this time. The game can be played solo or in 3-player online co-op. The game will have crossplay at launch, meaning that if you are on Xbox and you want to play with your PC or PlayStation friends, then you can. All you have to do is set up a Square Enix account. Let's talk characters and classes. Outriders will have 4 unique classes to choose from at launch. The classes are pretty unique as far as their kit and playstyle go, but they do draw from the classic RPG character archetypes that we all know and love. First, we have the Devastator, which would be your classic tank archetype, with a large emphasis on armor, health, and close quarters combat. Next, we have the Pyromancer, which draws from your classic mage archetype and focuses on area of effect damage, damage over time, and debuffing enemies. Next, we have the Technomancer, which is your classic summoner / support archetype, dealing mainly with crowd control, summoning anomaly weapons with a few support abilities thrown in. Next, we have the Trickster, which is your classic rogue and glass cannon archetype, which focuses on getting in and out of combat quickly while doing high burst damage. Each character has 8 abilities that you unlock through leveling up, and you're allowed to have any 3 of these abilities equipped at a given time. In addition, each character also gets a character tree akin to a passive skill tree. Each character tree is broken up into 3 branches with some connecting nodes in between. Your max character level in Outriders at launch will be level 30, but you only ever get 20 character points to spin in your character tree. But the character tree can be reset at any time for no cost. This means that the decisions you make with your character points are going to be a little more impactful, but due to the ability to reset the tree at any given time, it'll promote a wide variety of build diversity. An example of a smaller passive is plus 15 in your cooldown reduction, and a good example of a more impactful larger passive is resurrecting on the battlefield after dying with 50% of your HP. Now that we're talking about builds, let's talk a little bit about gameplay and combat. Outriders is a third-person shooter and is being compared to The Division, Gears of War, and Remnant from the Ashes as far as its gameplay is concerned. People Can Fly developed Gears of War, so we know that they have a history with great third-person shooters. Now, as far as the difficulty in the combat goes, it's not so much as Souls-like, but it is a difficult game. Managing your cooldowns, your skills, your builds, and all your gear is going to be an integral part of tackling the harder content in Outriders. Speaking about that, let's talk a little more about the difficulty in Outriders. Outriders has world tiers that unlock as you play through the campaign. They unlock via the combat XP and your item and gear level, so the stronger you become and the more XP that you get, the higher world tiers will unlock for you. World tiers are going to have enemies at higher level that also drop higher level loot. While you are in this higher level world tier, you are able to use this higher level gear. The harder the world tier, the harder the enemies, but the better the loot. Let's talk about combat a little more. Now, a lot of your abilities in Outriders can actually interrupt enemy attacks. You'll see an enemy charging up its attack with this orange bar, and then you can use one of your abilities or skills to interrupt it. Let's talk about healing. As far as healing goes, each character has their own unique healing mechanic that plays into their unique archetype. For the Devastator, you will regain 25% of your maximum health for every close range kill. For the Pyromancer, your skills marked damaged enemies. Killing a marked enemy will restore 25% of your maximum health. For the Trickster, every close range kill will restore 20% of your maximum health and 12% shield. And finally, for the Technomancer, you recover a portion of all damage dealt as health. Now, each character has a very unique healing mechanic that plays into their archetype and playstyle. Now, Outriders is a looter shooter, so let's talk about loot. Outriders follows the color code system that we all know and love: white, green, blue, purple, yellow. Now, in Outriders, you will have 2 primary weapon slot, 1 secondary weapon slot, and 5 armor slots. Armor and weapons will roll with base stats like armor, damage, accuracy, stability, range, etc., but also rolls with attributes. Now, attributes are dependent on the item level and rarity of the item. White items will have 0, green items will have 1, blue items will have 2 attributes purple and legendary items will have 3 attributes. Now, attributes are going to be completely random on all items except legendaries, and the values for attributes do not randomly roll, rather they are in a tier system. For example, the max health on these boots is plus 100. That would make this a tier 1 attribute. If it were a tier 2 attribute, it would be plus 110 health. Tier 3 would be plus 120, so on and so forth. You can increase the tier level of an attribute through crafting. If an item has an attribute, one attribute will have this small symbol next to it. This means that when you dismantle the item, you will receive your crafting materials, and additionally, you will receive an attribute shard. The attribute shard can be used to level up the same attribute on a different item. In addition to attributes, gear also come with mods. When you dismantle a piece of gear, you will also acquire the mod that it has equipped. Once you acquire a mod, it is permanently unlocked on your character and is able to be slotted into any gear with a mod slot. Speaking about mods, let's talk about legendary items. Legendaries are handcrafted items with set attributes and set mods. When you dismantle a legendary item, you will acquire its unique mods. You can then slot this unique mod onto another legendary, thus combining 2 legendary weapons or armor pieces into one, gaining the effect of both of the mods. It does not stop there though, because you can equip the mods on any rarity item that has a mod slot. In addition to legendary weapons, there's legendary armor in the game that has powerful armor mods. Now, these mods are normally class specific and must be slotted into armor, not weapons, and can only be used on certain classes. These mods normally buff abilities, and as you can see, may take your spike force on a devastator from 1 impaling spike to 3. In addition to the legendary mods, legendary armor also come with set bonuses, strong passive bonuses that can be acquired from wearing 3 or more pieces of the same set. In the example shown, you can see that the Death-Proof Devastator armor set provides you with a 90% cooldown rate on one of your abilities. This is almost 100% uptime on one of your skills. This, combined with some of the larger passives in the character tree, can grant you some crazy damage bonuses. Now, the devs have stated that crafting in this game is more of an end-game activity, so throughout your playthrough, it's probably smarter to just save all the materials that you get from dismantling your weapons. Now that we've talked about your character choices, your gameplay, and your loot, let's talk about the last thing on the list, the end game, which in Outriders is called Expeditions. Now, once you complete the main campaign, you are going to see the expeditions popping up on your map. Expeditions are new bespoke levels that do not reuse any of the story campaign content. In fact, they have their own unique feel and story elements. Now, expeditions aren't just new missions, they also have their own difficulty scaling. Within the expeditions, there are challenge tiers. The higher the challenge tier, the higher the enemy level, and the higher the reward. You're actually given a rating for your clear of the expedition, and depending on the challenge tier that you complete the expedition on, you will be getting more powerful rewards at the end when the loot drops. The higher the difficulty tier, the faster the clear, the more additional rewards you will receive at the end. Now, as you just saw, there is a possibility that you will die during the expedition, but fear not. If you die before the end of the expedition, not all is lost, and you will still receive the loot from the enemies that you have killed up until that point. The loot during the expedition does drop from enemies, but it is collected, so to speak, and all dropped for you at the end of the expedition. This is to make expeditions as efficient as possible for farming high-level gear and armor. Now, on release, there will be 14 expeditions to do at the end of the campaign, and then once you complete the 14th, you will unlock the Eye of the Storm. The Eye of the Storm is the hardest in-game content in Outriders, and we do not know much about it except that that is where you will be able to get the highest level gear. As I said, max character level is 30 in Outriders, but through expeditions and higher challenge tiers, you will be able to get up to level 50 items. With a campaign that's 40 hours long and 15 expeditions to complete, there's a lot of replayability and a lot of content here for a non-live service game. So Outriders has a free demo that's coming to all platforms except Stadia. That'll be available on February 25th, and then the game is scheduled to release on April 1st. The demo should be playable until the release of the game, and all of your progress from the demo will carry over to the base game. Alright, beautiful people, well, that about does it for my brief overview of what Outriders is and what you can come to expect on February 25th. I hope that you found this video helpful and informative, and if you did, please leave a like. If there's any other Outriders content that you would like to see in the future, please leave a comment down below, as I plan on making a lot of content about this game. I tried to keep it short and sweet for you guys, but I'm still learning the ins and outs of making these videos, so it's a learning process for me. And whether you liked the video or not doesn't matter. I appreciate the viewership nonetheless. Alright, Outriders, stay safe out there, and I hope to see you on Enoch. Well, no, it's not. We're not professionals.